Hi there, this is David Hayden Jones, otherwise known as Mr. Ketch on Supernatural, and you are listening to Kneel Before Pod.
Kneel Before Blog presents Kneel Before Pod.
Hello, and welcome to the Kneel Before Pod interview segment. I'm your host, Craig McKenzie, and first of all, I'd like to apologise in advance for the audio issues in the second half. Thankfully, these only affect me, and this interview isn't about me. Fresh off her recent stint on Supernatural, I have Farrah Aviva with me, talking to me today. So, hi, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
No problem, thanks for coming on. So, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm pretty good. I had my one big night out last night for the holidays. A bunch of us went out, put on tuxedos and nice dresses. And so, I'm kind of feeling it this morning, but pretty happy I got to see everyone and say a cheers before the new year and the holidays kick off. So,
yeah. So where was it? You went anywhere?
We're in Vancouver at the moment. So we went to the hotel, which is a pretty nice place. They have a really nice bar up top where they put all these like fancy Christmas lights. Actually, we saw Jared getting in the elevator. Well, I say we because I'm so mad that I missed him by like 30 seconds, but my friends were in the elevator before me, and Jared was in the elevator, and apparently he was nice enough to take photos with fans that were getting in the elevator to go up to the restaurant. So it's pretty interesting. A little supernatural family.
Yeah. Yeah. Shame you missed him. If only you'd met him before.
I know. Yeah. The funny thing is, like, Vancouver is a decent-sized city, but, like, I see Jensen all the time. Like, before I even got this episode, we take the same cycling class. Yeah. So I feel like I just feel like I know them more than I actually do, just because you see them out and about every now and then. So, yeah, and they're just so nice. Like, as soon as you talk to them, they honestly treat everyone like family. It's just really, I've never met anyone like that, like either of them.
Yeah, my only interaction with them has been through videos of them at conventions and stuff, but they seem pretty switched on, and they wouldn't do a show for 13 years if they didn't like it. So
totally, yeah. But I think but a number of actors turn it on when they're being interviewed and stuff, and I just really think Jared and Jensen are those sweet, kind, genuine people in their core, which is really awesome, which is how they got to 13 seasons.
Exactly, yeah. And we'll definitely get on to what they're like and Supernatural in general. But so what are your big plans for Christmas or the holidays, as it's known, I suppose, across the Atlantic?
Yeah, we're... I keep saying we because my husband, he kind of partners in crime. He works in the business also. So we are going to Jamaica on Monday, and then after that we're going on a delayed honeymoon. It's been a year and a half since we got married, and we're going to go to Africa. We're going to go to Nairobi, down to Tanzania, and then end in Zanzibar. So I'm really excited and petrified for that, because he convinced me to do a safari camping trip, but it's not glamping. It's straight up bring your sleeping bag with you, because all you're going to have is a tent and a sleeping bag. So pretty excited, like really excited, but really scared.
Christmas adventure sounds awesome.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I'll just be sitting with the family having too much to eat and too much to drink like every year.
Yeah, I'm skipping that this year.
But, with good reason. I mean, it does sound awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be life-changing, I hope.
You think?
Maybe I'll eat less and drink less after this.
Well, you never know. So, obviously, this interview is all about you. So, kind of just a bit about you. How did you get your kind of start in acting, and what was it like kind of growing up wherever you grew up? So, just an opportunity to wax lyrical about yourself.
Thank you. I'm from a small town in British Columbia that's in Canada, and I, like a lot of actors, wanted to act since I was tiny, and I used to put on plays and record movies and blah, blah, blah. But the city that I was from, there just really wasn't like an actual film TV community. So anyways, I grew up, then I moved to Vancouver and didn't see acting as something you could really go into. Like, I just kind of fell into that mindset of it's not a real career, or also... there was all those like Teen Beat magazines when I was growing up, or like 17 magazine, and it was always an article about I was walking down the street and I just got discovered. So I never actually saw acting as a thing that you go after. So I started in fashion design and moved down to New York and was working there, and ran into a lot of really famous actors because a lot of them lived there. And I just realized the only difference, I'd like to think the only difference between them and me is that they actually went after it. And so when I got that reality check, I decided to move back to Canada, paperwork reasons, and start acting. So I started a bit later than I would have liked to, but I'm so glad that I saw that it was actually something you can go after. Like I'm just so much happier doing it than I was fooling myself that I wanted to do anything else.
And of course, it helps that a big portion of TV shows are filmed in Canada, I would imagine.
Oh, huge. Yeah. When I first started here, so Vancouver was famously known as Hollywood North, and it was super busy. And the luck I had was the year that I started, all our tax breaks got cut, and films left. So, it got me training for a lot of years before I actually got to work. But now it's booming probably just as much, if not more than it was 10 years ago. So that's really exciting. Like everyone here people aren't even going to LA anymore. It just doesn't seem necessary, which is really exciting for Canada. And just getting to take part on these huge, like Vancouver over Toronto. Vancouver gets far more American productions because I live kind of between both cities, and Toronto gets more Canadian and indie productions. So in Vancouver, you're really fortunate because you can land a part that may have been a lot harder to get down in LA because there's just more actors there. So yeah, we feel really lucky up here.
Yeah, living in Edinburgh, we're starting to feel the buzz of filming big productions. We recently had the Avengers and things, and I think Glasgow's taken up. Yeah. So I didn't see anything because it was all at 3 a.m. and things, and I tend to sleep at that time of the night, so I didn't see anything. But yeah, it was a great buzz to have it around and see everything being built and stuff. So, it's really cool to see somewhere become somewhere else. I imagine you experience that a lot with being in Canada.
Yeah, totally. There's my parents have a funny story of when we visited Vancouver when we were still living in a smaller town, and they stayed at the Fairmont Hotel, I believe, the Vancouver Hotel. And they were saying, oh my gosh, Vancouver is so beautiful. There's all these flowers. There's these beautiful trees. It's January. I don't know how it's so lush here because where we were from, it's a lot more snow and stuff. And then the next day it was all gone, and my mom didn't realize it was all part of a film set. So, sometimes within your own city, you get to walk into kind of a wonderland and realize it's not real. Like the Man in a High Castle filmed here, which is a TV series about if Hitler won World War II or if the other side won World War II. So you have the Nazi German regime on one side, and then you have the Japanese side on the other side of America. But anyways, yeah, the show. But there's sets here all the time, and so it's all these cars from the 1940s, and it just looks like you just walk into a different world, and you're not really walking on the set, but if you look to your left, they've literally created this whole other world, and it's so cool. And then you just go buy your groceries and get back on with your day in 2017.
Movie magic.
Yeah.
And so, I've seen from your Twitter page, you do quite a bit of photography. I had a look at your page, and it looks really good. I'm not an expert on photography, but it does look very good. So is that kind of a side thing, or is it kind of you're an actor who's also a photographer, or the other way around?
Yeah, it kind of stemmed from one, when I did start acting, because it was slower, I wanted to find a different outlet or a outlet just where you're waiting. I was training a lot, and I kind of fell into it where, because I knew so many actors just from taking class and stuff, that I immediately became a headshot photographer quite effortlessly. I remember within a month of taking my first headshot of a friend, I had a full-on business. So it started that way. It's just a way to do something else and make a living where I didn't have to serve. And I just love actors, and I love shooting, and I have that eye from kind of working in fashion for so long. And in the last year and a half, I've been working on a passion project right now it's called the Bang Bang series, but I think for an art show I have coming up, I have to change it to Point and Shoot. But anyways, basically for the last year, I've tried to take less portraits and do more art photography, which has been so nice because it's been busier with acting that I've been able to like work on a job and then have a couple of weeks off and then get to just do art rather than have to do anything else, if that makes sense.
So you're kept creatively satisfied, so to speak.
Yes, right now, oh my gosh, I'm like, please, 2018, don't change. It's been the like absolute perfect balance this year. It's been so wonderful.
I'll definitely put a link to your page in the show notes so that people can have a look. But yeah, it's really impressive stuff, and it's good that you can diversify and can find time for different things because so many people just can't. Or
totally, yeah.
Yeah. So what else do you enjoy doing when you're not working? So not photography then, if that's...
So last year my goal was, and for some people this might seem so weak, but my goal was to read a book a month. I love reading, but I find that's one thing that I never allow myself to do because everything else seems more important. And even if that's just pressing refresh on my Instagram page, like the amount of time that you waste, like I'll go on social media cleanses every now and then, about 2-3 times a year, and I can read 3 books in a month. Whereas when I'm kind of getting caught up on social media, I really struggle to do 1 a month. But anyways, that's what I really like doing with my spare time, or like getting a newspaper on Sunday and being super old school with a cup of coffee and reading it in bed. And that's probably my biggest enjoyment / goal to achieve more of. And then probably like a lot of people, I love working out, which is why I see Jensen all the time. I love going for hikes. Like I just love being active. Those would probably be my 2 things. Trying to be a painter, but only ever picked up a paintbrush probably twice. I bought the supplies. I'm too scared to use it.
Start with the paint by number sets and then go from there.
That's a good idea. Thank you.
It's not. I shouldn't be asked for tips on how to do art. I just shouldn't be.
No, I'm going to give you a big thank you when I become a painter.
Yeah. Well, maybe that'll be how you just got into the swing of it. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
So, any particular genre of books that you enjoy, or just whatever you can get your hands on?
I really love biographies and memoirs. One thing that I'm into right now, and mostly it's just, I just always had a fascination with artists. And I don't know if it's because I sometimes question if I'm a real artist or not. Like, I'm just really fascinated with, whether it's Da Vinci or Picasso, the whole mindset of an artist and the drive it takes and the insanity that kind of goes along with it. So I've been reading a lot of memoirs and stuff on Picasso, for instance, from like all the women, like a couple of the women that he dated, / married, / had affairs with, / had kids with, but didn't marry, kept journals while they were with him. And there's a couple of books. It's just so fascinating, and how he started from nothing and living in a basement with rats around him, or not a basement, but like an art studio on the ground floor in the middle of Paris. And there's just rats around him. They didn't have food. And then how it grew, how his success grew, and so stuff like that. And Peggy Guggenheim, there's a book on her called Confessions of an Art Addict that I'm in the middle of. So those are my favorite books right now. I really should read more fiction, but I always think I'm like, it's a guilty pleasure. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm reading, I need to learn. So 2018 goal.
All sorts of 2018 goals: reading more fiction, less non-fiction.
I'm just so cool. My goals.
Well, make them achievable, and then you don't feel bad when you don't achieve with the impossible kind of ones. So
true.
Instead of abandoning New Year's resolutions within a week or whatever else, it all sounds pretty achievable stuff. So
yeah, well, I hope so. Let's do another interview in a year.
Absolutely. So when it comes to TV shows, I mean, obviously you've appeared in quite a few. Do you follow any, or do you not have time, or is there kind of any that you drop in and out of as you're traveling around?
I have, I like to get in on the binge watching of a show. So there's usually every couple of months I get time where like there's a weekend where I don't have to do anything and I'll just try and catch up on something, but it's hard like to do it as a regular. Like I don't even know how many people really watch, except for the Supernatural fans, which are so amazing. Like they actually watch the series as the episode comes out, and I don't know how many people really do that anymore, but for other TV shows. But I really like there's The Fall, which I think it's filmed in Ireland. Anyway, sorry. With Gillian Anderson, which is amazing. And The Affair is so good. I mean, like everyone else, I got stuck on Breaking Bad. It was really hard for me to get into another series after Breaking Bad, which was years ago, because it was like, I think it is probably the closest it can feel to doing drugs without doing drugs, because you had such an adrenaline high with every episode. So any series I watched after that fell flat, so I took a couple of years off of series. But, those would probably be my main shows. I kind of started watching Fuller House. Like if I need that, like, you make yourself lunch and you just need a minute to shut your brain off. I'll just put on an episode of Fuller House, and it's like tapping into an old family I had.
You were a fan of the original then?
I mean, I'm a fan of, from when I was the 6-year-old watching it. Yeah, definitely. So it's kind of like Friends, where you can watch any episode of Friends, doesn't matter what episode it is, and you're kind of locked in. And so I find, I can't believe I'm saying this on a blog, but yeah, I find that with Fuller House, I can do that. Just that like empty your brain, zone out, and then.
Yeah, everyone has a guilty pleasure. I've got things that I watch while I'm writing and things because I don't have to pay attention to them.
Yeah.
It can be cathartic doing that, just having something on as kind of white noise in the background. So I totally get that.
Yeah. Thank you.
No
judgment. Tell me you watch Fuller House too.
I don't actually, but I never really watched the original, so it's not for me, I don't think. But
okay.
Yeah, but I'm all for nostalgia. I can be nostalgic about various things. Power Rangers, for instance, I was right there for the film during the summer.
Cool.
Summer. Yeah.
That's so cool.
That was my childhood, watching Power Rangers.
Yeah.
So when it comes to movies, obviously being an actor, I imagine you don't have an awful lot of time to get to the cinema. But is there any kind of ones that you would be your highlights this year, or ones that you're looking forward to maybe in the next year?
Yeah, I just watched The Florida Project, which is amazing. I don't know if you know what it is. It's an indie... Yeah, you know what it is. Okay.
Got a limited release over here, yeah.
Okay, yeah. It got a limited release in Canada also, and it did the film festival circuit and whatnot. So I just wasn't sure how far it went, but yeah, I think it's pretty successful. It's going everywhere. I loved that film. That was just fantastic. The first couple of minutes of that movie, I was thinking like, oh my gosh, these kids are such assholes. Like, how am I going to watch a whole movie with them? And you just fall in love with them, and you root for these kids, and you kind of takes you back to being a kid, and it's just so wonderful. And then with a bigger story being told, which I always appreciate that. It's funny. I watched The Big Sick in theaters.
Yeah.
And I remember laughing and being like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I never would have watched the movie because I thought it was going to have like a cliche kind of storyline. And so when I watched it the first time, I was laughing so hard in the theater. I was like, what the heck? I'm so glad my friend brought me to this movie. But I just watched it again 2 nights ago because I told my husband he should really watch it. And I'm like, wait a second, it is that cliche Hollywood movie where like, I don't want to put any spoilers and, I don't want to say anything because people haven't watched it, but like, I didn't laugh once. So anyways, I don't think that would be one of my highlights.
Never revisit a comedy. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Because the jokes weren't timeless enough to make you laugh 2 times.
Yeah.
But yeah. I watched a couple of others. Now I can't even remember. I mean, it was amazing. Almost the same thing with those kids of like, I didn't even care that it wasn't as scary as I expected it to be. Like, I just thoroughly enjoyed the performance and kind of the 80s throwback feeling. That was a really good film. Gosh, I'm totally blanking. Yeah. I feel like I watched a lot of movies this year and I can't even think. They were.
Just washing over you, is that what it is?
Yeah, the night that I had last night might be affecting my thought process right now.
Killed a few brain cells.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, you starred in a movie where Michael J. Fox voices an experimental dog. I'll confess, I haven't actually seen it, but I do like Michael J. Fox. It was called Archie. So did you actually get to work with him at all, or did he do all his stuff later? Did he come and record it all at the end kind of thing? And there's a sequel due out quite soon, I think, from what I can see.
That's right, yeah. So my husband actually wrote and directed those films.
Okay.
So I did... so he wasn't there for filming because he just did all his voiceover stuff afterwards in New York. But I was lucky enough to go the first time and meet him. And he is absolutely wonderful. And okay, so there's like the story behind it. When I first met him, sometimes when I meet, and I definitely did this with Jared and Jensen, like I'm like, no, I don't get starstruck with anyone. Like I'm super cool, I'm super chill. But really, what winds up happening is I get shy and I mask it with just like I'm one of you, which is so not the truth. Like I just try to be like, yeah, cool, yeah, like no big deal. And I think I kind of come across sometimes as like, everyone says I don't, but I feel like I'm cold. Like so with Michael J. Fox, all I wanted to do when I met him, and same thing, I actually just did a movie with Johnny Depp, and I wanted to be like, I love you, like I grew up watching everything you did, like you're the most amazing person. But instead I'm like, hey, I'm Farrah. Cool. So, how's your day? Like, so stupid. So anyways, when I worked with Michael J. Fox the first time, he was so personable. He was so good at what he did. I'm trying to think like how deep into a story I should get into. Like, I mean, I just don't know how much it's like okay to say. Oh gosh, I'm so weird with these things. Like, what would be... Oh, good. Brain, work with me. Okay. So basically when Michael J. Fox first came in, he obviously is working through his Parkinson's, right? And it's like evidently there. And so when he first came in, his medicine was still kicking in, and he was just really open about it. He just said, hey guys, like I just need 10 minutes, better to work through chemistry, meaning, let's say I'd rather work through this with you guys and whatever. So he took 10 minutes and he came with his nurse, and when we started working, we had him scheduled for 4 hours, which we were like, gosh, I don't know, can you do the whole movie in 4 hours? He finished it in under 2 hours. Wow. He made jokes the whole time. He had actually read the script before coming, which I don't know if that's necessarily the norm, but he had questions about it. He had great feedback about it. Like he really cared. He like did his homework. You'd think someone at his level would be like, oh yeah, I've got to go pop in and do this voiceover thing. I'll wing it. But he was just so professional and sweet. And he wanted to work like for Robin, my husband, Michael J. Fox is one of his biggest idols. And so he was, I think it might have been hard for Robin at first to give him direction. Like you don't want to tell someone how to do their job when they're supposed to be the best at what they do. But Michael J. Fox was like, please, like give me direction. Like I'd love to hear, like, this is just what I'm doing. So they created this really great working relationship through that. And I mean, he was great. Like when the second film came around, we asked if he would do it again, and he luckily said yes again. And I was so stoked. I was so happy to get to do it. I was going to go back to New York. I booked my ticket. I was going to make up for not being as like friendly as I wanted to be, because when I met him, he would like, he winked at me and he was like, like he's being playful and everything, but I literally just went like stone cold. Or he made jokes in the booth about Farrah Fawcett and me, and like he was being like so friendly, but I was just frozen. I was like, yeah, like anyways, I wanted to make up for that. And then I last minute had to cancel my trip to New York, and I think it's because of Supernatural. I think that's why I didn't make it to New York in the end. I can't remember, or maybe it was a Christmas movie. But anyway, so my husband went and he said that he was just the same, just like really awesome stand-up guy.
Cool. So. Yeah, so I guess a lot of the experience would have been other people just talking to a dog and imagining Michael J. Fox talking back. But since you got to meet him, that's that's great. I mean,
Yeah.
I've always admired the guy, so I would love to.
He's so awesome.
Be in the same room as him someday.
Yeah, he's so awesome.
And so, what was it like working on the sequel compared to the first one?
The sequel was so much fun because we got to cast a lot of our friends in the second one, and it takes place around a circus. So a lot of our friends are really good comedy actors and stuff. So they got to Robin was able to create really great roles for all of them. And it was just like a bunch of adults acting like kids where they were all circus characters. I play more of the villain in the movie. So the second one, I had a smaller part because it just didn't center around me as much as the first one did. So I got to I hung out on set and I got to do the stills and be there while everyone was filming. And it's just like the dream. We just keep saying, like, if this is what we could do for the rest of our lives, we'd be so happy to do what you want to do and get to do it with your friends. There's just nothing like it. It was really a special experience.
Cool. That sounds good. I will have a look at that film at some point if I can ever get a hold of it. I don't know where it's possible to do so, but
yeah, that is a good question. Actually, I wonder where you get it right now. I don't know if it's on Netflix. I'll see if I can find out for you, and I can send you a note. Yeah.
If it is on Netflix, it almost guaranteed not to be on the UK one.
Yeah. Right.
Which is a shame. It's a shame being in the UK with the lesser Netflix than some of the other.
Yeah, but Canada has it over like the US. What you get on the Canadian Netflix versus the US Netflix is really different. Also, it's really, yeah. We want it all.
We do. Too much TV to watch. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise.
Totally.
So your work on TV, you've appeared on a couple of my favourite TV shows, actually. Izombie being one of them. I thought I've always loved that show. So what was that like? What's the Izombie set like? I interviewed Malcolm Goodwin a couple of years ago, and he was great.
Oh, great. So working on Izombie was probably one series that it was working at such a fast pace because the location that we had was for a really limited amount of time. So with a lot of shows between takes, you usually kind of talk to the main cast, or you're always hanging out in the same green room. But I remember with this one location, we just didn't really have that much time. So I was working mostly with Malcolm in that scene. Rose was there, but when she was in my scenes, like, she's really far on the other side. So I never even really got to talk to her. Like, we just said hi at one point. And I remember working with Malcolm and being so shocked at how quiet he spoke. So like, I felt like our scenes, I thought I was going to have to go back in and do ADR because I felt like we were really just talking like this the whole time. And it's funny that when you watch the show, it's not like that at all. I mean, I guess on the show he does have pretty quiet speech, but like you can hear him. But in real life, I was like, wait, did he say his line? And so that was kind of my only Izombie experience. And then Mersey, she's done about 5 episodes, the director. And she was so enthusiastic to work with. She just was like the type of person that was almost jumping up and down behind the monitor between takes and like just running around. I remember thinking she's probably losing so much weight directing because she just had so much energy all the time. But yeah, that was one series that just because of location and time constraints, we didn't have the same amount of time. But I did know some of the actors in it, like a lot of like the guy James Neat, who is the yoga instructor that gets smashed over the head. I know him from the acting community, and this other guy, oh gosh, I'm blanking on his name now. This other guy I've known for years. So we studied together. So it was kind of nice because even though we didn't get to talk to the main cast much, we kind of had our own little tight crew of people where it felt like we all knew each other. So yeah, it was kind of, yeah. But everyone else that's worked on Izombie has great things to say about the cast. Yeah.
So it was like the sort of guest star crew, so to speak.
Totally, yeah. Just the way my scenes were, like, and just the timing. Like, it's funny because it's like between takes, you're literally like already setting up the next one and doing marks. There just wasn't a lot of waiting around time, which is also really nice as an actor, because sometimes you're sitting and waiting hours before you do anything. And I remember in that show, it's like every second we were doing something.
Waiting the food table.
Yeah. Didn't have time.
Well, from what I've heard about craft services on film and TV sets, that can be a bit of a shame.
It's amazing. I know, it's really amazing. I don't know how people stay so in shape if you're working on a show full time, because the food is endless, and there's union rules. Like, there needs to be food, like hot food, coming by every 3 hours, on top of the massive food table that they have set up with fresh sandwiches constantly being put out, and then they have a massive lunch and breakfast buffet. It's crazy. It's so much food, but I think it's really for the crew because they work so hard.
Fair enough. You were also on Lucifer, which is another show I love. Was the sort of experience similar there with time constraints, or was there more lead time on that one, just to kind of chill out?
Yeah, that one felt like it was, again, same thing, location, but just the way it was between takes, I guess, is what it is. Like, you have more time to talk between takes. That was an interesting episode because I auditioned for it, and I didn't see at the bottom. So when they give you your sides, sometimes they cross out parts that you don't need to pay attention to, and sometimes they black it out completely because they don't want spoilers getting leaked. And so you really just have your scene, like, and some of that's even blacked out. But anyways, I didn't notice it until after I had booked it, that it says that I'm supposed to make out with Leslie Ann's character, because she has that, like, evil power. She's a kind of, how would you say her character? I was going to say, like, she's kind of a sex addict in the show with her.
We'll say she's seductive. Let's go for
seductive. That. Thank you. That sounds a lot better. Oh my God, what is it? Anyway, so I read that after, and I was like, oh gosh, I didn't even realize. Okay, so then anyways, I go to set. It's always interesting meeting someone when you're like, yeah, we're going to be making out later. So we did the scene. We did plenty of takes of it. It was at the end of the night. Like, I think we did like a 13-hour day, and they filmed that at the very end of it. So it was like 1 a.m. when we're doing it. And they ended up cutting it out of the actual episode. Like, I think that I had some friends in that episode as well, and their stuff got cut completely. Like, I think it was one of those cases where they had too much material to fit in the amount of time. But that was really funny with Lucifer. So it's like this random scene that we had to film that I didn't even know I had to film until after I booked it, and then it never even got seen in the end. So anyway, I did get to kiss Leslie Ann, and that was a very interesting experience.
She's very different to her Lucifer character in real life, and obviously I don't expect that she's quite so demonic in real life.
No. Yeah. And they all left. Lucifer left Vancouver. They're back down in LA now. So I got to do one of the last episodes before they went back down, because I think the Fox lot down in LA had an opening because some show got canceled. And anyway, so they're gone now. I feel grateful that I got to get on it.
Yeah, I wasn't aware they actually ever filmed in Vancouver, but I suppose we know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know how they faked that. They must do a lot of exteriors.
Yeah.
And patch it in with the episode. But yeah, they did I think 2 seasons up here. At least one, but I think it was 2 seasons. I don't know how they cheat that. Like, Vancouver is just the rainiest, depressing city for most of the year. No palm trees anywhere.
It's all sunny in most of the Lucifer scenes. So
Yeah.
So was there much interaction with Tom Ellis himself? I mean, as the lead, I imagine he was around quite a lot.
No, he wasn't even there the day.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't even get to meet him.
I've always wondered what he's like outside of that character. I've never seen him do anything outside of it, so...
My friend is stand-in on that show, and he said he was awesome, and they're pretty buddy-buddy, and he seems really supportive. And I mean, yeah, I don't have any personal stories because he wasn't there, but I mean...
But you have footage of you kissing Leslie Ann Brandt that no one will ever see.
Yeah, it's somewhere, like, it might come out one day, I don't know, but it was pretty funny. It was pretty, like, I find kissing on TV the most awkward. Like, I have like a funny Johnny Depp story about kissing, because, okay, so I had to kiss Leslie, and I had to do this other film called Welcome to Nowhere, where I kissed another actor named Matty Finocchio. And in both of those scenes, it's like a really passionate. They grab me and it's like full force. And what happens when you kiss on TV is like, one, it's supposed to be like soft. You don't use tongue, all that stuff, right? But like when something is coming right at your face, the way it was happening to me, I got like you kind of protect your face. It's almost like a baseball coming at you. And so I remember doing scenes with both Leslie Ann and Maddie Finocchio, and after the first couple takes, being like, "Oh my gosh, relax your lips!" Like you're like, it's like really like I felt like it was like such a like teeth hitting teeth kind of thing, and it's so awkward, like the clinking. So then, after my experience of doing that with Leslie Ann, I did a movie with like just a small part, but with Johnny Depp, and same thing. His character grabs me and kisses me, and I remember being like, Sarah, like all day I was preparing. I was like, soft lips. Like I don't want to kiss Johnny Depp and have this experience of him hitting my teeth. Like be a soft kisser, be a soft kisser. And so then in the movie, my character is supposed to be resisting him because I don't like him. And anyway, I did it, and I guess I made the kiss a bit too soft that the director afterwards had to come up to me and be like, "Great, yeah, we just need you to resist Johnny Depp a little bit more." And I was like, "Oh God, so awkward." And then the next take, I was like, "Okay, be like, resist him." And then I did like really tight, like I'm supposed to be a prude, so I was like, doing like kind of trying to resist him, and so I had like more of the tighter lips, and then Johnny decided to use his tongue in that take, and then I was like, "Oh my God, you idiot, like Johnny's using his tongue and now you just like hit your teeth." And I was like, it's the worst. Like I would be happy if I never had to kiss anyone on television again. It's like the most unnatural thing in the whole world,
with a room full of people sort of watching you behind the camera.
Yeah, like the real movie magic is the actors who can make it look so nice and sensual.
There's a little bit of behind the scenes stuff for any listeners, so thanks for that.
No problem.
So I see you did a TV show that you also wrote. What was it like kind of performing the words that you wrote? Was there any kind of I don't know, was there any kind of moment where you listened, or where you were saying the dialogue and thinking, did I write this? Or, oh my God, I wrote this, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, the upside to when you're writing it is you kind of have the freedom on the spot to kind of ad-lib and change it if need be. I find writing isn't my strength for film and TV, or like I just don't have a lot of practice with it, but the series relationship is like very comedy driven, just by the name. It's just all the stuff that goes on in a relationship that can be kind of shitty but comical and just a bit too truthful. So we tried to create a series that was just playing on all those things. The weird thing about your writing is you wonder whether or not you're writing it as funny as you feel the situation can be. And what was so awesome about that experience was then getting the reactions from people and then being, "Oh my gosh, that joke actually did land, or that did actually work." And you feel really empowered, and it's exciting in a different way than if you were just the actor saying the lines, because there's a bit more of a responsibility if you're the writer and the actor. Just no one else to blame it on if it's not funny. Because if you're the actor, you can blame it on the writer. If you're the writer, you can blame it on the actor. But that was a really cool experience. But my husband, he wrote it with me, and he's kind of born to be a writer. He's like really good at that stuff. So I definitely had some help with it. Yeah. Pretty interesting.
Comedy, more so than anything else, will be more subjective because different people like different things. So yeah, it's a tough
totally.
one.
With comedy, you don't want to spell it out. Like you don't want to it's kind of the less you say, the funnier it is if you can show it, but yet you have to have some dialogue in there to make it work. And yeah, comedy is really interesting.
So you've dabbled in a bit of everything, really, writing, acting, all that stuff. So good to be an all-rounder, I would say.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So you were also in Bates Motel as receptionist, according to your IMDb page. So that must have been an interesting role, because that's kind of someone who sees everything that kind of has to be quiet about it, I suppose. Or is that the way you saw it? Or is it
Bates Motel, it's a really interesting how that came about, that I got that part. So basically, this other actress, Aaliyah O'Brien, in town, she was the receptionist named Regina. She did multiple episodes. And what happened was she had a contract conflict where she needed to be filming this other cop show called Rookie Blue in Toronto. And anyways, scheduling wise, she wasn't able to do a few episodes. And so they held like a last minute panic audition session. And this is before the series was even out. There wasn't even a trailer yet or anything to like go off of. And so anyways, I auditioned for it. Remember leaving the audition, and I didn't know the story behind, I shouldn't have said the whole like build up to that someone else was already cast to do this part. But anyway, pretend I didn't say that part yet. So I get this audition for Bates Motel. I'm so excited. It's a possible recurring role. It's a cool role. Like you start thinking like where it could go and all that stuff. I leave the audition and I start bawling. I go down to a coffee shop and I'm just like crying because I thought to myself, I've never done such a bad audition in my life. I couldn't even get the lines out. Like I had to look at my paper in the audition. Like it was one of those things where you just felt like you had no control whatsoever. And it's one of those moments where you're like, what are you doing with your life? Like you can't even do this. And then I think it was that afternoon I got the call that I booked it and it was going to be at least 3 episodes, and I just died. I was like, what? I got so excited. I love Vera Farmiga. Like she's my girl crush. I just think she's the most fantastic actress, human. Like there's just something so special about her. So I was really excited to get to work with her, but I had no idea what the tone of the show was. Like, it's Bates Motel. I have an idea, but like at that point you don't know, is it campy? Is it dark? Is it like, where are they going with it? And so yeah. I get to set the very next day because it was such a rush thing. It was the first it was the first shot of the day. And what they did was they filmed I actually only did 2 episodes. And then on the spot, they go, okay, can you do this 3rd episode? We're just going to use like your voiceover for it. Can you just do these lines or whatever? So anyways, on the spot, I did 3 episodes, which is really just like 3 small scenes, 1 in each episode. In probably like 45 minutes. And I'm thinking, it's a drama, which it is, but I was going off of Vera and she had really like a lot of big expressions. And then so I was like, oh my gosh, am I totally missing the tone of this? And the director kept giving me redirection after redirection. And I was like, oh my God, what is happening? Like, I don't even it was the most quick thing to do. And like, not even knowing what the tone of the show was. And then, I found out what the situation was with Aaliyah O'Brien, and that's why they had to like get someone in there so quick to do the episodes that she wasn't able to do. And so IMDb kept flip-flopping us, being like my character's name was Regina, hers one was receptionist. Anyways, that's how the whole situation went. But I always find that so interesting with film and TV because like you can get a call the next day and be on set the same day sometimes, and yeah, but
last minute production problems get you in the door, and then that's it.
Yeah, totally. But I loved Vera. She cared so much about her work. Like that was one set, even though I filmed my part so quickly, we had a lot of time in the green room and she was just doing script analysis like crazy with the other actors in the show. Like she just cared so much. The only other person I worked with where I've seen that is Johnny Depp, where it's like, they're not fluking it. They're not like, they are putting in some hard hours and a lot of thought into everything they do. And I love that so much.
Yeah, and it seems that sort of a lot of genre TV you find yourself on. Is that a particular interest, or is that just when the phone's ringing kind of thing?
It's so funny because I somehow have gotten into like doing really charactery roles, and I don't even have comedy training. Like when people go, what's your dream role? I'm like, I would love to play a doctor. Like I would love to play like something really serious, but somehow I keep doing these comedy character roles, which I absolutely love now, but it's never what I expected to do. And I don't know if it's because I have a funny look or what, but like they just keep coming. Like the weirder the character breakdown is, the more likely I'm going to book it. Like, if they want like something, like I can cry on the spot, I can do all those things, but like I never get those roles. Like I'm always like the quirky oddball. But I love it. Like it's so free. You get to just kind of remove yourself, and you can't take anything you're doing too seriously because the character is just bigger than life a lot of the times. So yeah.
Of course, onto Supernatural now. You were mostly terrified in the scenes you were in the most recent episode you appeared in. I mean, you've appeared twice. Once as Psycho Ghost, which is got to be a great thing to be, you know. Was it that someone in the casting department remembered you from, was it 5 years ago, and asked you to come back, or is it just kind of a...
No, I wish that was the case. No, when I did Psycho Ghost, it was funny, when I went to audition for it, it said several scenes. It wasn't a guest star, but I guess like the Psycho Ghost was supposed to be sprinkled throughout this. Like, it was a big mansion that was haunted, and I guess maybe originally my character was supposed to like go through, like just be seen in a lot of the scenes. And I was really new to acting. It was one of my first bookings. And when I finally got the script from production, I read it and I was so excited. Again, like sometimes you get like, you think things are bigger than they are. Or maybe that's just my habit. But I remember reading the whole script. I was in a food court and I was like so excited I couldn't even eat my food. And I didn't see my character anywhere. And I was like, oh my gosh, they must have given me the wrong episode. And I'm like, this is so weird. And I look and I'm like, no, this is the one I booked. And I had to read the script 3 times before I saw the like 3 sentences that referred to my character in the stage directions. And then when I got to set, really all I did was like scream into the camera. It was really funny. It's like funny how like the industry is just so crazy. So no one remembered me whatsoever. But what happens with shows is like, I think there's like a 5-year turnaround. So if you were at a show over 5 years ago, they're allowed to reuse the actors. And so I just kept waiting for season 12. Because I think I did 709 or something, episode 9 in season 7. So I kept waiting for like the 5-year mark to pass. And then I was so excited because I got to audition for Supernatural a few times. I know one of the producers on there because he lives in Vancouver, Jim Michaels. He's awesome. He's always been really supportive of my career. And he might have, he knows who I am, but like, he didn't call me in for the audition. And I didn't even get to audition for that one in person because I was filming actually Archie 2 in Regina. So I put it on tape. And hopefully now they'll remember me because now it's a bigger part. That's probably the only part I've ever played that was not as character-y, like where it's actually a bit more serious. And I would love to play Daniela more. I just love the aspect that the boys have to team up with a witch and that there's kind of like a favor owed to one another because of what happened in that episode. So hopefully she'll come back. Like the director, Richard, he's really awesome. And, he's been on the show a lot himself. And the whole thing was to make sure like my character doesn't die. And let's make sure we play her in a way where like she can possibly come back, but like they haven't said anything. So who knows? I'm happy enough to have done what I did, but
well, in that show, death isn't a deal breaker either. So
that's true. Yeah, that's true.
But no, I thought you did a really good job in that episode. It must be. I don't know how daunting it is to spend most of your scenes with the 2 of them, but certainly it was a good chunk of the episode. So I thought you did really well bouncing off the other 2. As I said in my review, it was a really good kind of back and forth that you had with Jared and Jensen. So yeah, I enjoyed those scenes a lot. Yeah,
thank you. I prepared her a lot more vulnerable. Like the breakdown was saying, like she nervously approaches the boys and whatnot. And when I did the audition, I did her a bit more like just so like showing how scared she was. But when I got to set, we decided to kind of make her have more of a backbone of like, listen, I know you don't like me and I don't like you, but we need to deal with this. And when Richard gave me that note, everything just kind of fell into place. Like because I think that is what would happen in real life. Like no matter how scared you are with anything, it's like if you're going to put yourself in a vulnerable situation, you're going to pretend you're okay with it. And so I love that there was that layer underneath of her being just so scared that anything, like I could either get killed by the serial killer or the hunters could want to finish me off, but that I had to kind of hide that and work with them. It was really cool.
Was there any time with David Hayden Jones as well? I know he only kind of showed up to try and kill you, but
so mean.
I interviewed him about a year ago or something like that. So he was a good guy to talk to, and it's good that he managed to dodge death as well.
I know, and he's like they just keep calling you back. Like I don't know, he's in a lot of episodes now. I didn't get to meet him until the very end of the night. So on my Twitter, I had posted a video of me looking at the monitor, and there's like his machine gun, if it's a machine gun, his automatic weapon, firing in the house. And I wasn't in there at the time. I was waiting. Like, I hadn't even met him yet, but I saw that scene happening. I met him after that. Like, we probably only interacted for like 30 minutes. The rest of everything else was with Jared and Jensen. But he was so lovely. And like, when I met him, it was already probably midnight. And he was just, it's like he had like 3 cups of coffee. He was so energetic. He was just really personal and fun. And he was like, for someone to leave that kind of an impression in such a short amount of time, you go, I know why they bring him back all the time. Like, he's just such a cool person to be around and a fantastic actor. He's great for that part. So yeah, he's good.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed you get to come back, and the spin-off is still on the cards, so...
That's true.
Well, it's an all-female spin-off, I believe, as far as I'm aware.
That's right, yeah. Yeah. Brianna Buckmaster. She's, I know her, like, I've photographed her a few times, and, you know, she's from Vancouver, so I've heard about the show a bit through her, because they've filmed it now. They filmed the pilot, and I guess they're just going to wait and see what happens, but that'd be so cool if the spin-off took off and gets picked up properly.
It's got a better chance considering it's characters that people actually like rather than
totally
the thing they tried to do before.
Yeah, totally.
So, fingers crossed, we'll see your character again.
Yeah.
Wait around long enough and they reuse characters all the time, you know, with season 15 or something like that. They'll
yeah, totally. Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So, I mean, you said earlier about Jared and Jensen, they were very they're very on all the time and all that kind of stuff. Did they play any pranks on you? I know David said last year that he had a few pranks played on him.
No, I was saved from that. I didn't get any pranks played on me, but like they're like literally, like, I'm more of a what if actor, so like I kind of, it's not method, but like if I have to play emotional scenes, I like to kind of be in that zone before they yell action, just because I feel like it's just safety that I'll actually be there and I don't have to phone it in. But with those guys, like, you can't, like, they're making jokes every second, or like there's like full on in conversation, and the second action is yelled, they snap right into character. And so I had to quickly be like, whoa, okay, yeah, I gotta do what they're doing. Like, I couldn't be like, guys, don't talk to me, I want to be in the zone. It's not even like my character needed that kind of prep, but like, so I remember the first take when they said action, I let them into the house, and I'm like, fair, just cool, like, you're in the zone. And they had a sandbag to stop the door, so I didn't open it too wide, but no one told me that. So when we're walking into the house, I like whip the door open, and it bounces back and almost hits me in the head, and so they're laughing at me for that. And then the second take, I come into the house, and I'm like, just be cool, like, just, you know, no problem, be chill. And then I opened the door, and this time they moved the sandbag and they didn't tell me. And so Jared goes, "You live here?" And I go, "Yeah." And I trip over the sandbag and almost fall. And so they kept making fun of me of that. Like, you don't even know, like, this is supposed to be your house, and you don't even know how to open the door or where anything is, and you're falling over stuff. So that was kind of an ongoing banter situation. But no, I got saved from the pranks. I'm actually kind of relieved about it.
Next time. They'll get you next time. They're planning it now.
I know. Yeah, they're totally planning it now.
Yeah. A friend asked me to ask if Jared is just as huge as he appears on TV in real life, or if there's the cameras kind of adding height and whatever.
No, he's really tall. Like, he's really, I think Jensen is really tall, and he looks small compared to Jared. Like, I remember the first, I'm like a bit too honest about things that go into my head, but like the first time I bumped into Jensen at the spin studio that we do, I wasn't casted in Supernatural, but I knew who he was from like the past episode, and I didn't want to say hi to him because he wouldn't remember, you know, like it was so long ago and all that. But I remember being on my spin bike, and you can see yourselves in the mirror, and I would look at myself compared to Jensen, and I'd be like, wow, they would never cast me to be like his love interest on the show, because like his head size compared to my head size, I just remember being like, wow, like I'll never be on Supernatural. Not that there was ever a chance that I'd be his love interest, but I remember that being a thought. And I told my friends about it, and they all thought I was nuts. But they're big guys, and then Jared compared to Jensen is even bigger. So yeah, they're built.
Earns the name Moose, as Crowley used to call him when he was still alive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's cool though. Sounds like you had a great time on set, and you've got a character who survived, so can come back. You never know, you need some magic done to solve a problem.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So what are your kind of plans for the future in terms of acting or anything else really? And is there anything you'd really like to appear on? I know you said it as a doctor, but a doctor in plot,
Yeah, kind of a big thing. My plan is my husband and I want to create more of our own things, and he's been doing a lot of writing and directing, and he's in the middle of writing an independent feature that would be more like the things that he's done in the past have been a few kid films and one kind of romantic comedy, but now he's in the middle of writing a couple of his like passion projects, because those past projects were things that he was hired to write, but now he's writing something for himself, and we're working on that together. And I would love to continue getting experience on that side of the camera, just to have a bit of control. He's dual, so he's American and Canadian, and now that we're married, I just set up for my green card paperwork. I just put it in about a couple of weeks ago. Okay. So I think we're gonna maybe he spends a decent amount of time in LA already, but when I go, I try to keep it short just because I can't work there. But I think that we've made the decision that especially if we're making our own things, we need to be down there a bit more. I mean, that's just where everything happens. So that's an interesting, I don't like what my normal answer would be is like, I hope to book a series and I want to do this and I want to work on this project. But right now I'm kind of protecting myself because LA, I don't know what to expect. So right now it's when you start in a new city, you have to meet casting all over again, and that can take years. So I'm kind of preparing myself for that I don't even want to like say I have goals. I'm just kind of wanting to work more on the back end in case we do make the move down to LA. Like, I just don't know. It could either like take off and go amazing, but I'm kind of preparing myself for nobody knowing who I am yet. You know, having to just like make a name for yourself again in a new city. So, yeah.
Well, being on a CW show won't hurt, I would imagine, because they seem to recycle actors quite a lot between all their various shows.
Totally.
I watch quite a lot of them, and it's like, oh, it's that guy, or it's her. You know, I see that all the time. Yeah. It's good. Once you get in with CW, it's easier to get rehired by them. There's a thing with CW where they don't want to hire you too close to having just done another CW thing because they don't want the episodes kind of airing at the same time. Yeah. So they don't want exactly what you just called out, like, hey, that guy was just in this. Like, they don't want to make it look like they're pulling from a limited amount of actors or anything like that. But there is, like, once you're in with CW, it's pretty good because you've already been approved by the network, so it's easier to keep getting approved by them, unless you do something horrible on set and they never want to work with you again. It sounds like you didn't do so.
Yeah, I mean, I decided not to tell you about it in my blog.
Well, we only get some exclusives over here.
Yeah.
So
at my blog, I realized I just decided not to tell you that in my blog. Just so you know, this amazing blog that you have, it's mine.
Well, it's your time. You know, this is all about you, not about me. So fine. I'm happy for you to take ownership of this interview. So.
Thanks.
So yeah, I've made my way through kind of everything I wanted to ask you, and you know, you've given some great answers. So thanks for all the insight into various things, and sounds like you've got a plan of some sort, which is great, and I hope you're fully successful in it. I really do. Hope to see you cropping up in all different other things that I watch, which is quite a lot. So, you know, chances are if you want to play a supervillain in The Flash, then I'll be watching, you know, that kind of thing.
Okay, great. I'll give you a heads up if I do.
Yeah, do that, yeah, so I can say, I talked to this person, and now they're going to be, you know, waving their arms around and doing stuff.
She's going to be on set, like, acting really cold because she's so shy, but like be really awkward on set all the time.
So on that subject, we always ask a really cheesy question around here to finish off. What superpower would you have and why?
I really think I just want to be invisible because I love what I want to be able to do, because everything I've learned in life is that everything is easier than you think it is, and that like the difference is just you just have to do it. Or so why I want to be invisible is that I want to go, like, if there's certain people who are succeeding at certain things, I get fascinated with like, how are they doing it? And so one of the reasons I got into headshot photography was I was the worst at having my own photo taken. And I was like, I need to start taking people's photos so I know what they're doing to make it look so easy and all their photos look good. And like, kind of how I told you about when I was in New York and I saw that like these people are just real people, and realizing I can do it too. And like, I want to have that power for every aspect of life, where I could just be that like fly on the wall and be like, what are they doing? And then take that and use it for myself. Kind of like, I want to have a superpower to try and take everyone else's superpower.
Well, that's just greedy.
Yeah, it's just greedy. But I mean, like, to do good for the world, of course.
Of course. Of course, if you were the only person that had superpowers, you wouldn't have any powers to take, so that'd be a problem.
Well, I would be the ultimate power, so what's wrong with that?
Yeah. The invisibility one would be good because you could put your auditions to the top of the pile and let, you know.
I didn't want to say that, but that's the only reason I want to be invisible. I mean,
well, there's all sorts of advantages, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm leaving out the kind of perverted ones, but obviously that would be part of it. But I'm trying to make it just sound like I want to be a bigger, better person, and so I want to watch other people. But like, yeah, definitely, if I'm invisible, I'm taking advantage of all of that. I'm deleting other people's auditions. I'm spying on people in their private moments. Like, yes, 100%.
Leaving out the perverted ones is probably a good idea for Hollywood at this point in time, I would imagine.
That's true. Yeah. It's so not the time. It's not the time to be perverted, guys, okay? Guys and gals, but like, it is not the time.
Well, it's been great having you on. Thanks so much for coming on to talk. It's been great, as I said, and I really hope that you succeed in everything you want to do for the future, and I will look out to see if I can see Archie, because it does intrigue me. I like to see Michael J. Fox voicing a dog.
Oh, he's so great. I think you'll enjoy it. He's really funny in it. So yeah, thank you for having me on here. Thanks for having me on the Kneel Before blog.
You're very welcome.
That was my interview with Farrah Aviva. I'd like to thank her once again for agreeing to come on for an interview, and on behalf of everyone here, Kneel Before blog and Kneel Before pod, I wish her all the best in the future. If you like what you heard, then please hit that subscribe button on iTunes, YouTube, or any major podcasting app, and join us on the next Kneel Before pod.